SPLA Man is here. I'm sitting in my basement today. We're going to talk about audits. I mentioned in a previous video that we're going to do a 3-part series on audits, and today we're going to discuss why did I get audited? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Primarily, though, it's part of your Microsoft agreement. So your SPLA agreement with Microsoft outlines Section 13 of the agreement for those playing at home. There's really 3 types of audits, but we'll focus in on 2. One is verifying compliancy, right? So during the term of your SPLA agreement, as well as up to 2 years after it's terminated, Microsoft can verify compliancy with you. So what that means is you're responsible for keeping track of any documentation during that entire period. So documentation could be addendums, it could mean in customer information, because again, you always want to prove the way you're licensing. So if Microsoft audits you and you say these are in customer licenses and it's a shared environment, well, to meet flexible virtualization rights, you have to have software assurance on those licenses. If they don't, well, then you're on the hook for them. So there's a lot of documents that you should keep aware of, and note that they can audit you not just during the term of your agreement, but also 2 years after. The other one is, I think they call it licensing compliancy. That's more detailed audit. Usually involves a third-party audit firm that comes in and collects the information, so it's a lot more detailed oriented. These terms are outlined in the master agreement that you sign with Microsoft. Now, a lot of service providers are unaware of the master agreement. Sometimes they just pass it through, sign whatever documents that the reseller provides to them and pushes it through. But yeah, the master agreement is kind of important for you. So if you don't have access to it, I would encourage you to reach out to your reseller who can grab that for you and kind of understand the terms and conditions of that. A couple other things to be aware of. If you're found guilty of the audit, you have to pay 125% of the cost of the license. So not only do you owe for the licenses that you previously should have purchased, but you're paying additional fees on top of it. The other thing is, if you were audited in the past, take a look at the settlement letter, because that settlement letter is not only going to conclude the previous audit, it will also outline when Microsoft can audit you again. So when are you released from that previous audit? So in other words, like if it's 2023, you settle for an audit, Microsoft audits you again in 2025, they can't go back previously before 2023 to verify that compliancy if it's outlined in that settlement agreement. So I think it's really important to keep any documents after the audit as well, so you can have that to help you settle through audits. Yeah, the other thing is, it's super important, last but certainly not least, is when it comes to audits, it's important to be proactive instead of reactive. We want to eliminate risk before it becomes a risk and kind of understand what's happening inside our data center, and that's really where Octopus can come in and help you. We scan your entire data center, keep track of licenses, not only keep track of licenses, but also, hey, how can we optimize, and I hate using that word, but how can we maybe reduce, there you go, your licensing costs as well. Maybe there's a better strategy you can implement. There's a lot of changes at Microsoft that's happening, and not just with Microsoft, but the industry. And that's the reason why we created this community. So if you go to community.octopus.cloud, we kind of discuss a lot of these changes and go through it with you in greater detail. So again, this is a 3-part series. Later on, I'm actually going to interview an auditor. So don't throw stuff at them. But anyways, if you have any questions, please reach out in the comment section. Otherwise, we'll talk to you guys soon. Later.